Okay, so this is part 2, and on the suicide theory. This is what we have to work with. One person threw it out there. We'll check this out. Sharon Pilgrim. I am the girlfriend that Kenny spoke of in the video. There are so many posts I had no idea until a friend let me know. So many people are wondering what happened and guessing different things. You are heartfelt about the sadness around what has happened with Kenny. He has not been found, and I feel that he probably will not be found for many, many months, if ever. I want to share what I know and what I feel about what happened, so that you might bring some closure and understanding in your own lives. Kenny absolutely loved hiking in the desert. It was his very, very favorite thing to do. We hiked and camped together all over the Nevada desert, sometimes 9 hours a day. How the hell do you camp for 9 hours a day? Or is that the hiking? Anyhow, we found many abandoned mining towns, usually referred to as ghost towns by Nevada hikers. We explored many caves and mine shafts. We were always careful how we explored them, but Kenny was a bit more daring. Pretty easy to go with. We wore snake guards. Now, you wear snake guards, you carry a gun, you have water, beer, food, everything in a cooler back at the car. So if you drink all of your stuff, you don't have to wait till town. Okay. Sun-protected clothing, used walking sticks, brought enough water and food for the hiking hours, and had extra food water in the car. He rarely drank all his water. We took wonderful pictures of all sorts of things we saw. Rusted cars, old falling down buildings, cemeteries, mines, wild animals, tarantulas, scorpions, trees, cactus, and flowers. Our deserts are beautiful if you have a love for deserts. They are not spooky, scary, but you do have to be careful of the terrain and, of course, bring enough water and food. We always were excited when we saw desert wildlife, like the bighorn sheep in the video. They are stunningly beautiful to see in person in our deserts. We would stand quietly to watch them as long as possible. I was so very excited to see the one he filmed in his video. I want you to know that I do not think Kenny had an accident. I believe he committed suicide. He battled depression for many years and would not take medication or see a doctor. He quit his job a little more than a year before he disappeared. He wanted to see if he could sell his inventions and do what he called cowboy interior design for homes. He bought his first home 5 years ago and had an amazing ability of decorating in this style. He was not successful in getting a business going and was running out of money after a year of not working. He no longer wanted to work a job for someone else, and as his money decreased, he became more and more depressed. Okay. Anybody can do a search, and even in 2014, the internet was 5 times better than what it is now. You could actually find stuff that wasn't suppressed, scrubbed, hidden, just the way it is. Oh, hell, where was I? He no longer wanted to work a job for somebody else. He really did not look for another job. In early October, was seeing his depression increase. I said to him, "You aren't going to pull a Robin Williams on me, are you?" Now, don't forget, this voodoo priestess, witch doctor chick is supposed to be some kind of a... Well, she's tied to Debbie Veach now, and she is supposed to be some kind of a mental health person. This is where I have a lot of trouble with the suicide, but I'm really trying not to be biased, and I know it's not coming out very good. But I'm gonna try to be fair and try to do the suicide thing as fair and honest as possible. This is when he opened up more about his depression and his thoughts. Much of his life about suicide. His father committed suicide when Kenny was in his early 20s. When I asked him the question, he answered me with, "If I decide to do it, you will be okay because you are good at the law of allowing." So, if you have mental issues and you go to talk to this chick and she's supposed to help you, her stance is the law of allowing. So you don't want to tell her, "I'm kind of having thoughts of suicide." She'll just say, "Go knock yourself out." She's fine with it. You can't make this shit up. This is right here in front of us. He asked me what I would think of him if he did it. He also said, if he decided to, no one will ever find me. It would be easy to do something like this in our desert with a number of natural caves and mines. He could hike many miles in a day, so there is no telling where or how far he could have hiked during his 3-day, 2-night solo hike. When he did not call me after the 3rd day of being gone, I called missing persons. The search for him was started within a couple of days of my call. Over 30 search and rescue team members searched 3 different times on foot. 1 helicopter flyover was done, and there was no trace of Kenny or any of his camping things. They found his car in the area I told him it would be. They did find his cell phone by the mine shaft in the video. The mine shaft was only about a 4-hour hike from his car. It is my feeling he left it behind so that he could not be tracked in the from the GPS in it. He also did not take his video camera with him on this solo hike. It was left in his home, so he had no intention of filming anything. I shared this with you for 2 reasons. First, so that you have more of an understanding of who Kenny was, and to bring some peace and understanding to the situation. Secondly, if any of you do decide to go out into our desert to look for him or the M Cave, be careful, bring enough food and water. Walking sticks are a good idea. And not doing a solo hike. Bring GPS and make sure that you have let family or friends know that you are heading out for the hike and where and when you will be returning. A search really can't be on a one-day hike. You would be repeating much of the same hike. That's true. Just getting up the mountain and then being left with not many hours in the day to do the search, you would need 2 or 3 days at a time, and in the summer or even late spring, this cannot be done because of the heat of our deserts. You would not be able to carry enough water, so please be careful. I had many wonderful experiences with Kenny and will always remember them and have a place of love in my heart for him. The wonderful things we did together. I am healing from my loss and look forward to new experience with desert hiking, camping, taking beautiful pictures of our deserts. I lost my place. Enjoy your adventures of life and thank you for the kind, loving comments sent my way. That is on Kenny's MK video hike, and you can read the rest of them. Now, suicide warning signs. As an expert explains what to look for and how to intervene if you suspect someone you love is contemplating suicide. Talking about suicide can be a scary subject, but the more people are willing to talk with a friend or family member about suicidal thoughts, the more likely they can help someone take positive steps towards healing. I guess not doing a Robin Williams would be those positive steps. Many people assume that if you ask someone if they have suicidal thoughts, you can put the idea into their head. This is a myth, and mental health professionals encourage people to ask important questions and gather facts to help someone who is depressed or feels hopeless. When someone is contemplating suicide, their words and actions can give you clues that they are at risk for hurting themselves. People can become suicidal when they feel overwhelmed by life's challenges, the lack of hope for the future, and they see suicide as the only solution. It's sort of a tunnel vision where other options seem useless. Having a family history of suicide or impulsive behavior is also believed to increase risk of suicidality. Other risk factors. History of substance abuse. I don't know that Kenny had a history of substance abuse. If a guy likes to drink a beer, who gives a shit? He likes to drink a beer. You could lump 75 and maybe more percent of society into if they drink a beer. I don't know. Maybe Susan could answer that. Kenny had a gun. So what? How many people in this country don't have a gun? Difficult life events. Alright. He put himself into a financial position. Isolation from others. From the sounds of it, he really wasn't self-isolating away from anybody. He wanted to do his own thing. He was personable. History of mental illness. Again, maybe Susan can help out. Physical or sexual abuse doesn't really show that. But then again, I don't know. Having a terminal or chronic illness, not really. I haven't seen anybody claim. I really haven't seen anybody except Sharon claim any of this. Past suicide attempts? Not really. Feeling depressed. Now remember, we're dealing with somebody that believes in the law of allowance. I mean, you show me somebody that doesn't get depressed, and I'll show you somebody that has absolutely no emotion whatsoever. Lack of interest in activities once enjoyed. I think we could scratch that out. His Shark Tank videos. He did his hiking video. Irritability, anger, anxiety, shame, humiliation, mood swings. I'm kind of thinking on the HLN special, that would have been covered. I just have a problem with this because there's only one person that talks about it. Everybody else was pretty much saying that wherever he was, he liked to make people laugh. He was a people person. Just what it was. As far as the financial situation, in my opinion, didn't he work for Farmer Brothers Coffee? If he had a good history or a positive worker history, I'm pretty sure he probably could have went back there, even though he didn't want to. He wanted to do his own thing, but that's kind of how come you try to establish yourself as a good worker. Because if things don't work out, you can always go back and see if you can get your job back. You might not start out at the same as you left, but at least you have income coming in. Might not be what you want to do, but you could also try to reformulate your plan. I think I'm doing more to try to debunk suicide than I am trying to give credit to it. Behavioral markers. Isolating from others, not communicating, giving away possessions or writing a will, reckless driving, increased aggression, increased drug and alcohol use, searching about suicide on the internet, gathering materials, pills are a weapon. He had a gun. Older adults also at increased suicide, and they complete suicide at a higher rate than any other age group. That's probably because we're old and cranky and just don't give a shit, and if we think that's the only way to go, you ain't gonna screw it up. They are also especially at risk because they do not usually seek counseling for depression and other mental illness. If you see an older adult who stops taking care of their hygiene, is eating poorly, and starts giving away their possessions, then you should help them talk to a mental health professional as soon as possible. This is SciComm, the website. It just kind of is what it is. But if you look at this, and you go off of, and you have to remember, right? I wish I had the screenshot, or I knew where I put it. I have a screenshot where she talks about writing a book. Is it possible? Well, it's kind of like I talked about into a comment on part 1. We can all sit back and we can do our interpretations of behaviors. Just, it is what it is. Personally, as much as I want to be fair and open about the suicide aspect, maybe I've watched that video too many times, and I just do not see a person that is suicidal. I mean, if you go through this, firearms, he's got financial problems going on, working on his inventions. He would be isolated from others, but he's not isolating to the point of where he's not having any outside contact. If he's isolating from others, wouldn't he have isolated from Sharon too? As far as depression, I mean, when he got back to his little car, he was smoked for sure. But he still didn't give the signs of suicide the way that I looked at it. The way I looked at it, he was wiped out. There's no shame in being wiped out. We have no idea about physical or sexual abuse or any illness, terminal, chronic. Those we have no clue. That would come into somebody else's personal knowledge that actually knew him, not second guessing by social media, YouTube, because people don't know. And not everybody wants to put everything they have going on out in the public eye. Depressed? Sharon says he was depressed. I don't see the lack of interest. And this isn't every single one of these. They have to have each one. It could be, access to firearms, history of mental illness, depression. I mean, it could be any couple of these combining to where you have a 70-30 odd. If that makes sense. So anyway, if you give full... Whoops, I overshot that. If you give full credibility, you do not question this, and you take it as 100% truth, then you could go and say, okay, the warning signs were there, and it is a possibility. The only thing, and I'm going to leave it there. We in this video, we give her 100% credibility. Go with her statement is the gospel. And can we verify the things that she says and back it up with something? Okay, he had a gun. He's got financial situation. I don't know if you could count his inventions as isolating from others, because it does not fit with the lack of interest in activities. If we go to his channel and we look at what he's got going on, Christ, my laptop's acting. Okay, we go to his channel. Look at his videos. Shark Tank, his Roller Bear, Shark Tank submission. Even with this hike going on, not finding the cave. And if these were all uploaded, I had read somebody said that they were all done the same day. I really ain't worried about that, because you're not gonna make that the same day. You're not making that, and it's gonna take you time to create these. I don't think this I don't know. Anyhow, if we go off of what Sharon says, cross-reference it with this, then I guess you have the possibility for suicide. Alright. The next one is going to be the accident theory. And we'll have to see what happens in it. Alright, later.